thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to share a new item to my collection and also wanted to share the story behind it. I had an experience with Chanel Repair and I thought it would be helpful to share so that everyone can, set their expectations on what it's like to send an item for repair. I've been out and about all day. I just picked up the item, so I might look like I've been through a rough day. I also have the fan on because it's really hot, and I figure that would be softer than the AC, so I hope it doesn't bother you too much. So I'm gonna start with sharing the item and then getting into the story. So the item actually came in this beautiful box, and as you notice, this is actually the holiday ribbon. So they were telling me that they actually ran out of their regular ribbons, so they needed to use the holiday ribbons, which is fine by me. It's in this box right here. This is actually my favorite holiday ribbon that they've done because the entire thing is plastic. So I figured that's not a bad thing. After everything that's happened with this item, that's the least of my concerns right now. So here's the box. Let me take this camellia off. If I undo the ribbon here. Here's the box. Let me open it and ta-da! Here's the item. So by the box and the shape of this, you can tell that it's a belt. And let me take, oh, looks like they re-wrapped it for me. So this is the belt. As you can see, there's a silver buckle. And there's white, I believe this is calfskin, white calfskin on one side and there's black on the other. This is a fully reversible belt. I just need to take out the buckle and flip the side that it's on, and then it will be the other side or the other color. So I really liked the versatility of this piece. I don't have any luxury belts in my collection. Oh, actually, I have one Miu Miu belt that I purchased pre-loved so that I can start, seeing how I incorporate belts. But I saw this piece, it was really simple, it seemed really versatile, so I thought it was a great item to add to my collection. If you're curious, this is the information for this item, and I'll also leave it down below. This is part of their classic collection that they bring out, or sometimes it'll be in their archives and they'll bring it out, I guess, because it's part of REV. And so yeah, this is the belt. I'm really excited. I think it'll be perfect for the spring and summer to wear as a waist belt on the white side. It's just really fresh. And I got a size 100 so that it would be comfortable around my waist, and then I can also, I think I have to add one more hole to the belt so that I can wear it on my, wear it comfortably on my hips and then also wear it on my waist. But I need to add the one hole to add it to my waist. And then let's quickly take the buckle out and reverse the side. So you just take it out of this hole, you slip it out, and then if you slip it back on the other side, then voila, you have it set to be on the black. So this look is I'm really excited to have this piece in my collection, and I'm excited to style it. Alright, so for those of you who were only interested in what the item was, there it is. I'm now going to get into my personal experience with Chanel Repair, so if you're not interested, you can click off this video now. But to get into my story, it's a bit of a saga, and that's why I wanted to share. This was the first time I had to send something for Chanel Repair, and I didn't know what to expect. Actually, I had pretty high expectations. I thought it would be really professional and thorough. So those were my basic expectations given the House of Chanel and all of that. But I'm sad to say that my experience was less than exciting and less than what I expected. So I purchased the belt in the middle of February 2019. So earlier this year, I was in the boutique I'm purposely going to leave out what specific boutique I purchased it from because I don't want it to necessarily go back to them, because it might be just them, it might just be that boutique, or it might be how all of the Chanel's run in general. So I purchased it in mid-February. At the time that I was making the purchase, there was an actual scratch on the buckle because it was the one that was floor sample, and apparently that was the last one they had. And they couldn't like place an order or whatever. They were basically telling me that's the last one. So the SA that was helping me was very helpful, and he recommended that I send it off to Chanel Repair so that it will come back looking brand new. And he's like, you know, I've had clients come in, they bring their bags that are really old, they've had like a lot of issues with them, but they come back looking almost brand new. I've also had other clients who wanted to purchase an item and it was like literally the last one on the planet, and so we sent it off to Chanel Repair so that it would come back with the scratch taken out, right? So he like rested me assured that it would come back looking normal, looking brand new, and you know, recommended that that would be the best approach. He said he was going to circle back with his manager to make sure that, you know, we could make the sale and then immediately send it over to Paris to get repaired and then come back. So I waited a couple of days for him to check in with the manager, and he said, you know, manager said it's a good idea, we can send it off for you, it should come back within 4 to 6 weeks. I said, okay, that's totally fine. Let's do it, right? I saw the scratch, and I also didn't really, I don't know, I just didn't want it to buy something that already had a scratch on it. So I was like, okay, if it's gonna take 4 to 6 weeks and it'll come back looking new, like why wouldn't I do that? I sent it off. 4 weeks passed, I haven't heard anything. In the meantime, the sales associate who was helping me had to go on leave, and so he transferred my information to another sales associate who was helping me with giving me updates. So 4 weeks passed, I don't hear anything. I think like 5 weeks passed, and I checked back in to to ask, you know, is my belt back, or can I just get a status update? Do we know if it's at the repair center? Like what's the status? And I get a response that, oh, it's still at the repair center, we didn't get it back yet. Okay, that's fine. 6 weeks pass and I still don't hear anything. And around the 6-week mark is when this new SA, she tells me, oh, they had to send it to a different repair center. So I had this weird feeling that literally the belt was sitting in the repair center, forgotten, and then someone, because I kept asking like, where is this at, they finally realized it was there, and then realized it's at like this wrong repair shop, like it's the one that's like fixes bags and they don't fix accessories, and so they had to send it off to another one. That's just my feeling, that's not validated in any sense. But then it got sent over to a different repair shop, and she told me it'll come back 3 to 4 weeks max. She rested me assured. At that point in time, it was about 8 weeks, I want to say, since I sent it off in the first place. And she said it should be 3 to 4 weeks max for it to come back. I said, okay. 3 to 4 weeks max was going to bring me to about the beginning of May of this year, okay? So we're talking about 2.5 months passing before like anything really happens with this belt. So finally, it's the 4th week that the belt is supposed to come back. I asked for an update, and yet again, there's not another update. And at this point, I'm frustrated. Like there's no transparency in this process. There's such a lack of information that gets shared. There's no information that gets like proactively shared with me. Like I basically have to ask for an update every single time. And I don't feel like there's any attention spent on the item that's off to repair. Like I understand repairs take time, and especially with the craftsmanship that I'm expecting and that we're talking about, I can appreciate it taking time for it to be done right. So, you know, I'm just like, I understand repairs take a long time, but this is taking a lot longer than what was originally quoted, okay? Like, and so when I check in again, it's like, oh, repairs normally take 4 to 6 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, but you're the one who told me when it transferred to another center that it was going to be 3 to 4 weeks max. So at that point, I get transferred to the stockroom manager, And the stockroom manager, I sent an email to the stockroom manager who apologizes that the experience is less than ideal, and he's saying he's looking up the information and he will let me know as soon as he hears something. The next day he gets back to me letting me know that the belt is on its way back, and so it should be in the boutique ready for pickup really soon, and he will let me know as soon as it's ready. So I'm on my computer for my emails now. So that happens. So I reach out to the stockroom manager on May 7th, and he responds May 8th, and then May 9th he tells me that it should be coming by the end of the week. May 15th is when I finally get the call that the belt is in the boutique and it's ready for pickup. And I'm really excited. All right, three months later, I'm gonna be able to pick up this belt that I sent off to Paris, right? So it was the middle of the week, so after work I stopped by, and I'm so glad I stopped by because they offered to send it to me, but I'm really glad I stopped by. I stopped by in the boutique and I'm waiting for the item to show up. It does, and like you saw, the buckle had like bubble wrap on it. The person who brought it out for me like opens it, and I just take a look and I'm like, what is this? Like, and as you can see in the pictures, like the buckle looks like it has some kind of splattering all over it, and it did not have that before I sent it, because I know I took a picture of what it looks like before I sent it as well. I just look, and I know that's not normal. That is not that looks almost worse than the state that I sent it in. They're not actual surface scratches, you can't feel it, but it's like, it looks like, you know, if you like spray hairspray and it settles on stuff, it just leaves those little speckles all over the place. That's pretty much what it looked like. And I was extremely disappointed. And what made the whole situation worse is that nobody in the boutique seemed to be appalled by the quality of the repair that just came back. I even had somebody, when I was looking at it and looking very confused, one of the sales associates walking by was like, oh yeah, like that's the best it's going to look, because like they can't polish that off. And like, he didn't have context of why the belt was coming back from repair in the first place, so I didn't even want to get into it. But like, that is not the kind of response that I expect from professionals at Chanel. That's not the quality that I expect at Chanel. I don't expect them to sell something that looks like that, let alone have something come back from the repair center looking worse than when I sent it. And the only response I'm getting from the folks who are there is, well, do you want to send it back to the repair shop? Now, I don't know about anybody else, but when it took 3 months for the damn thing to come back, I'm not in the mood to want to send it back. I don't have this like overflowing sense of confidence that it's going to come back better if I send it back to the repair shop. That's just not what I'm looking for. And that's the only reaction I was getting from the folks in the store. That was also really disappointing. That was not what I expected. That's not the kind of, that was very off-putting. It seemed like nobody cared that the quality was so bad, and nobody cared about the situation that I was in. And it basically was, okay, like you're gonna have to, like tomorrow the manager will be in again, so like you should talk to the manager. And like, I understand managers tend to have more options to resolve issues, but it was just like the whole thing, the whole situation was just ugh. May 15th, that evening, so I leave the belt at the shop. I don't even want it with me. I don't want to take it with me. I don't want to have to deal with some kind of, oh, you took it, so we need to return it, or whatever. I was just like, no, I'm going to talk to the manager and we're going to figure out some better option than the horrible option of sending it back to the repair. Like, no. So that evening I send another email, and it's a pretty lengthy email to share enough context and all the pictures to the stockroom manager. And of course the stockroom manager was out on some week-long training, so he was out of office, and I was like, all right, this is great. Like, there's no redundancy in the shop. There's no one who can like help out when one person's out. Like, that's also mind-blowing, but that's besides the point. So I sent this long email back. I was explaining how disappointing this entire quality issue was. It was just not okay. The next day, May 16th, the boutique manager replies to me, and he responds in a way that I expected to be the initial response, which was sharing his disappointment in the quality. He was telling me that that's not what we should expect, and that he wanted to speak with me the next day or whenever I'm available so that he can understand more of the situation. So the day after we chat, or a couple days later, like when the timing meets, we chat. And when we chat on the 18th, he basically explains to me that that's not what should be coming back from the repair center. That when something gets sent off for repair, that it does, the majority of the time, if not 95% of the time, it really comes back looking brand new. So that's what he would have expected. It was not a difficult repair job, so he is also not happy with the repair quality that came back. So he was more aligned with some of my expectations, and I appreciated that he was. And the options that he presented was essentially to source another belt, find one from another boutique that he can get sent over, making sure that belt looks impeccable and giving that to me. Or the other option was to issue a refund. And I told him, you know, I like the item. There's nothing wrong like with the style or anything like that. So if we can find another item to replace it, that would be my first option. And then if we have to, you know, we'll go down the route of having to return, or like refund it. But otherwise, like I really want the item. He said he took a look and he already knew that there were a couple in New York, or like one in New York in the Madison boutique, and then there was like one in Texas and one somewhere else. So he said he'll start with the one that's closest to him, reach out to the store, see, make sure the quality of it is okay, and then bring that into the boutique so I can check it out. So we have that conversation on the 18th. May 19th and 20th is when I got confirmation that they were able to obtain the belt from the Madison boutique, and that they were in the process of transferring it over. So the 20th, I think, was this Monday. And I was like, great, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Now, the Madison boutique is not far in the whole scheme of like the world from the boutique in question, okay? It was like very, very not far. So, I mean, I understand that there could be some timing issues with sending things out and having a courier, but like, I did not expect this to take an entire week, okay? We're talking about 2 stores that are still in Manhattan. It's not in a different state, it's not in a different country, it's not in a different continent. It is literally in the same like geographic region on a map. It was taking so long, and no one was getting back to me about like any kind of update. So finally, Thursday morning, I was like, hey, is there an update? Am I supposed to pick this up soon? And finally on Friday, they got back to me saying, hey, they're circling back, they're following up, they'll share any updates. And finally today, which is Saturday, the 25th, I got a response saying, good news, the belt is in. So, what's today? Today is May 25th. A solid 10 days since I sent that first email is when this whole thing eventually got resolved. I still think that's a long timeline given the 3 months that I waited before. I don't understand why at the onset they couldn't have just sourced another belt instead of me having to go through this whole issue. But I guess they were thinking, you know, sending it off to repair, it'll come back new. That might be a better option to begin with. But anyway, that's just how the whole thing played out. I'm not thrilled with the experience. I can't say that it instills a lot of confidence in me sending other items for repair. So, you know, if something were to happen to my pieces, I definitely will send them for repair. But things like, you know, earrings that have rhinestones fall out, like I don't think I'm gonna go through the trouble of sending it through Chanel. Like for them to, they can potentially be charging me for that because it's a older item and it's probably out of warranty and all of that stuff. So in that case, like I'll be paying money for the stuff to get sent and take a god-awful long time for it to come back, and it could look worse than it did when I sent it, when I can like take it to a jeweler's and ask them to just plug in a couple more like stones. So, you know, it's an interesting experience. I wanted to share it so that in case there's anybody else who is thinking about sending things off for repair, just take solid photos of the items that you're taking in for repair so you have documentation of what it looks like before. And don't settle for whatever like nonsense comes back if it looks bad. Like, I don't think anybody, when you're paying that kind of money for stuff at Chanel, should be okay with less than acceptable, like less than near perfect quality. So that's everything. I know it was a quick unboxing and a rather long story, but let me know if you have any experience with sending things off for repair at any luxury house, and you know how your experience has been, if it's been less than ideal or it's been, you know, perfect and you would do it every single time. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below or head on over to Instagram and I'd be happy to help however I can. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate all of your feedback and support. If you like this kind of content, I put out new videos every Sunday. So if you'd like to be one of the first to know, feel free to subscribe. So until next time,